Hello and welcome everyone to this new video review. This time we're going to take a look at a game for the CDI that's pretty well known for the system. Almost anyone who has ever owned a CDI has played this game, which is called Chaos Control. What's interesting about this game is that it's developed by probably the biggest third-party developer out of all who actually tried to do something with the CDI, Infogrames, which now carries the name Atari. Infogrames was a rising developer and apparently saw some potential in the new format and made some games for it. Quite a few actually, and some are pretty decent to be honest. They actually supported the system longer than Philips themselves did. Chaos Control was released in 1995 and was thus a very late title that helped the CDI get more game oriented. Time was clearly not spent on the story. It's a classic aliens come to Earth to kick our ass plot, which they try to overly dramatize in cutscenes with horrible voice acting.
Take care, alright?
You too, Father. Don't worry, I'll see you later.
Sometimes I wish I could avoid giving some orders.
I know how much it costs you to assign such a mission to your own daughter, but it was the only solution you had. Lieutenant Darkhill is our best pilot, and she is also an excellent tactician. But maybe I should have avoided mentioning Major Morgan.
Karanov, I have spent my whole life trying to prepare her to face such events. But today, I would give anything to have her be somewhere else. God bless her, and may he forgive me.
Now, I do enjoy the art style of the cutscenes. They have a bit of an anime look and look pretty detailed. The problem is that there's very little movement, making them very static and boring to watch. You just gotta love the explanation of it all. First, we launch Pioneer probes to learn about what's around us, and we put little messages in them for something that might come across it. And that's all fine, but then the game complains about these aliens who have stolen Earth's coordinates. What, are you kidding me? We pretty much gave them an invitation, hello! Now they're coming to Earth for the sole purpose of destroying it. Is that like a hobby of theirs or something? Just doesn't make any sense at all. But enough about that. In a fun game the story doesn't really matter, right? Even though they try way too hard to make it all epic-y and such. The game itself is an on-rails shooter. The main problem I have with that right away is that the light gun isn't supported in this game. So you end up with a cursor you have to drag across the screen. The mouse might work, but I don't have one, so I couldn't test that. The game does give you an option to set the cursor speed to either fast or slow though, and if you have a speed switch on your controller you actually end up with 6 speed settings, so there should be one in there that suits you. So just point the cursor and shoot, that's all really, as there are no power-ups or other weapons at all. You just need to survive long enough for the video, since that's basically what you're seeing, is done playing. It reminds me of really old arcade laserdisc FMV shooters mostly. Even the enemies are part of the movie, so they can't be removed from the screen once you shoot them. Instead they are just masked with a pixelated screen of smoke. It looks ugly and it's not satisfying at all. I like my aliens to go up in flames and some big ass explosions. Otherwise the game looks decent, and it should, as it requires a digital video cartridge to be played. Now I do have to admit that the pre-rendered graphics haven't aged too well, but let me just tell you that back then when this game was new, it looked pretty damn impressive. It's a shame really that the first level is pretty much the highlight of the game though. In it you fly over and through New York. Later stages are in space and some computer land stuff which just doesn't look nearly as interesting. The same can be said for little scenes that play after completing a small section of each level. In the first level you see your ship flying and they look pretty nice. In the later levels you see the static screen of someone saying something. Boring. As for the sound, well, it ranges from meh to just plain annoying. There's very little music in the game, although some sections do feature some music, most have none at all. Not that you'll be hearing it anyway, as your lasers make this awful noise, which pretty much blocks out everything else. Enemy shots are not heard, however some do make some noise once you fly past them, blown up or not. What's most annoying though is your onboard computer. It's such an annoying prick. Whenever you have your cursor over an enemy he goes fire in his exciting little voice. I just don't see what the point is. By the time he says that, the enemy is long gone. It should instead say something like, "You should have fired there, idiot." Now that would still be annoying, but at least it would make sense. Another favorite of his is overheat. And you'll be hearing that a lot as the laser is overheating very fast while pressing down the button. Instead you need to tap it like a maniac, but even then it occasionally still overheat. Ha! And when you die Mr. Health really starts rubbing it in.
Red alert. No control. Shutdown. System down. Destruction.
Jeez, think that's enough? We get the point. I lost. Death, suckage, and why don't you throw in a couple of epic fail comments in there too while you're at it?
End of transmission.
I hate you. So once you are dead, you'll discover that the alien definition of destruction is making a planet green. I don't see why we can't let them plant a few trees here. Are we really that anti-environmental? Then of course you get to enter your name, as the object is to score as much point by blowing stuff up. I mean smoking stuff. Overall the gameplay's alright, it looks fine, but it's just boring and not very interesting at all. But you know what's worst? The number 4. Now don't get me wrong, me and 4 are pals and we get along just fine. But if he starts to represent the number of levels in the game, then we've got a little problem here. 4 levels is just way too little. And the most ironic thing is that the 4th level is also the easiest by far. It has less enemies and only one section instead of 3 to 4 like the other levels do. It does try to add a little interactivity, but it only has 3 choice points and only one route is the correct one, and that's forward and then right if you're wondering what it is. I tried the others, yes, but they all send you to the start of the level without refilling your life. The ending sucks too. I mean, you fly a little wipeout ship right into the big alien flagship and it explodes. And that's fine in itself. I mean, a little sacrifice never hurt anyone. But then the game has the guts to pull out the old she's not really that cliche out of its ass. I mean, what the hell, man. That ship was 500 times bigger than hers. It makes no sense at all. It's just some old bullshit. Now I'm pretty harsh on the game, but really it does play well for what little there is to play, and it might be interesting to play through it at least once. Doesn't take long at least. It can be had for really cheap too, so if you have a CDI and not this game for some strange reason, then why not just get a copy. But it sure as hell is no golden turd. It just hasn't aged well and it had primitive gameplay even then. The game was also ported to PC. With a mouse it might be more fun, but it's easy enough to complete with a controller really. Strangely enough, they somehow thought it'd be a good idea to also port this game over to the Sony PlayStation and the Sega Saturn and only release those ports in Japan. I can't really imagine that doing any good. Both systems have far superior games and I'm not even counting all the games that we never got to see in the West. Sounds like a really weird move to me. If anyone knows anything about these Japanese ports, then let me know. I wonder if they had any change or additions to enhance them. Well, that's about all for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching again. I am sorry the new intro isn't on this one yet. I'm working on it, but to be honest, I can't really think of something nice. If someone is willing to help me who is more creative than I am, then drop me a line. It'd be much appreciated. Well, until next time guys, later.
My God, what a shooting performance.